The following is me, Sarah Neela Elkins, reading Book of CoL, The Ember Child, Chapters 1 and 2, live on March 22nd, 2024. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to read it directly off of the Tapas website. Ba-ba-ba. Oh, you know what? My webcam's in the way. Oh, no. Well, do you see my beautiful face? That was really hard for me to say. Anyway, I'm going to turn off my webcam so that's not in the way. But I'm an actual human. I am a human who has made art and writing. I am not a robot. So yeah, I'm going to turn off my webcam, and that way I won't be distracting you or covering up the text unless y'all want me to keep it on. This is new. I haven't done this before. So I don't know. What do you think? Should I leave the webcam on or off? I will let y'all decide. Choose my fate. My call. Okay. So I guess it's not covering up all of it. You'll still see it when I'm scrolling up. Okay, I'll leave the webcam on. It'll also, like, if somebody rips it or something off of YouTube, then I can scowl at them. Alright. So, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'll try not to react to the chat, unless we get, like, another spam bot in here, and then I will banhammer it. But I will try to focus on reading and try to not laugh too hard at any body horror stuff. There's not really any body horror stuff in the first two chapters. The first two chapters are rather slow. But since I know it only takes me about 15 minutes to read the first chapter, I'm doing 2 chapters a week. I'm gonna start. Ready? Book of CoL, The Ember Child, Chapter 1. It goes without saying that life as we know it changed that day, February 17th, roughly 10 years ago. There are children alive now who have known nothing but the existence of people with the ability to wholly change who they are, what they are, and are yet still human in a core sense. There are those among us, both with and without the incredible powers of the Children of Loki, who question that fact, that they are still human. In this revised edition, I hope to clarify that they are, in fact, still human. Excerpt from the introduction to The Book of CoL, 2nd edition, by Dr. Rose Hailu. I can't believe you still haven't moved yet, Melanie says while leaning against a full pallet of water. We're supposed to be working as a team to unload the truck, but the forklift has been down thanks to a bad battery for a couple weeks now. We have 2 pallet jacks to get the job done, but are taking our time anyway. It would be suspicious if we finished the job too quickly. Mel knows I can deadlift each 2,200-pound pallet, no problem, and is just killing time with small talk. I don't know where I'd move to, I say with a shrug before looking at my watch. It's only been 10 minutes since we were sent to unload the truck. I've already put 1 pallet on the jack and decided to wait a bit longer so the manager doesn't ask questions about the extent of my abilities, or assign us extra work. The last thing I want is to be stuck with nothing but the heavy lifting at work. I'm doing a lot of it already with the forklift broken. It's just so boring. Page, Melanie begins softly. You've had all your shit packed since before young me and I got married. That was over a month ago. I can't exactly tell her she's wrong. Most of my belongings are still in cardboard boxes in the living room, waiting for me to decide what to do with myself. I've been wearing the same 5 outfits the last month, 2 of which are my work uniforms. I had 3 uniforms, but one of them broke. The lease isn't up for another couple weeks, I say, so I was just gonna wait a little longer to find a place. Melanie rolls her eyes and then sighs. Come on, Paige. You're one of the most indecisive people I've ever met. I can't help it, I reply while glancing at my watch. I refocus on the task at hand. I should push this in so we can get back to work. You're probably getting hot sitting in the back of this truck with me. Melanie takes a couple steps away from the water pallet and gives me a quick hug. Young me and I are worried about you, Paige. I know you think you're invincible, but no one really is. I return the hug gently. Thanks, but I'll be all right. We part, and I head to the pallet jack. Mel jogs up the ramp onto the loading dock. It would be great if the concrete dock and the truck's metal ramp lined up, but they don't, making it an uphill battle for whomever's unloading. Well, someone who's not me, at least. She gives me a thumbs up, and I strengthen my body enough to easily slide the full load of water up the ramp and onto the loading dock. Melanie goes ahead of me, again, to make sure no one's in the warehouse area. On her signal, I push the water into the building and straight to the older pallets. We have several more to unload, so I quickly offload the water and revert my added strength back to my basic form. It can be all too easy to cause an accident if one isn't careful, especially if someone doesn't know I've done anything to alter myself. If anyone had been watching us, they would have just seen us talking, and then me push over a ton of weight using a jack a lot more easily than should be normal with no visible changes to my appearance. This could go a lot faster if you just pick them up by hand, you know, Melanie teases as we head back to the truck. Here's an illustration. It's too much of a hassle for so many reasons, I reply. These things are kind of bulky. Can I read the next one? Melanie asks. No, I laugh a little as she opens the doors while pouting. Everything in the truck is as we left it. Just tons and tons of water waiting for us heavily. Loading the pallets onto the jack isn't that hard. You just have to make sure you know which direction you're going so you don't crack the pallet itself. Damaging the product is another reason I'm not just picking these things up and carrying them by hand to the warehouse. The main reason I don't do it, however, is that Melanie's the only person at work who really knows I'm CoL. Twitch on my phone just died, but it's back. Okay. The main reason I don't do it, however, is that Melanie's the only person at work who really knows I'm a CoL. It's not exactly a secret, but also not something I advertise. People can get weird when they find out. You could move to Austin, Melanie says. Your sister and mom live near there, right? I have thought about it, I reply while leaning against the water. She wanted to take care of Mom on her own. We both thought it best I keep my distance and all. I mean, I'd still send the money and stop by whenever she asks, but I get it. Strokes are hard, Mel replies. What are you two doing? We both turn slowly. Our manager is standing on the loading dock with his hands on his hips. He's a balding middle-aged man who's friendly with the staff and kind to the customers. As far as bosses go, he's not bad. He doesn't look pleased to have found us just idly chatting. Mr. Brim, I say with a smile. We were taking a short break. He doesn't look convinced. He didn't know I'm a CoL until the forklift broke and Melanie made a joke about it not being a problem for the day shift, which led to some explaining on my part. He crosses his arms and narrows his eyes. You're needed up front, Mr. Brim says. What? Melanie and I exchange a confused glance. Is there a problem? I wonder. There's someone asking about you. He's a detective. Is this something I should be concerned about? Mr. Brim asks. Not that I'm aware of, I say. I can't think of any detectives I really know. I met a few over the years, but that isn't the same as knowing someone. A couple years ago, I took some courses and tests to get my private investigator license, clearing me to use my powers for investigations. I haven't used the license, but it's up to date, so technically I am a detective myself. I am technically a lot of things. Good. Please take care of it, and then you can get back to unloading the truck, he says. He turns to Mel. Melanie may be able to do some of it while you're busy. Or you can just make up the time when you get back from the front of the store. Yes, Mr. Brim, I say. I'll unload this pallet and head to the front. I get that you want to be normal, Mr. Brim says, but it would really help everyone if you applied yourself more. Sorry, I say. No, don't apologize, he replies. I also understand why you haven't used your powers here. It makes sense to do the job you were hired to, and not more. You'd probably put everyone else out of work, right? I wince at his words. He doesn't even know what class of CoL I am. I don't want to tell him. Since he found out, he's been waffling between being extra supportive and visibly uncomfortable. Well, maybe not exactly, I say. But you know how people get around CoLs. He nods. Sorry about the lift being broken, Mr. Brim says. We really are trying to get someone down here to fix it. The batteries are back-ordered. Just unload this pallet, then get to the front. The detective who was asking for you is waiting near customer service desk. If it looks like this is going to be a problem, can you please take whatever conversation you're about to have with him outside? He asks it as if I'm going to blow up at him. He's been uncomfortable before, but this is the first time I've seen him show any fear of me. It hurts to see. I'm sure it won't be bad, but I can talk to him outside, just in case, I reply. Good, he says, relaxing a bit. I'm going to ask you to hurry, though. I think he was trying to hit on Karen. Oh, shit, I need to save him then, I reply with a laugh. I strengthen my body and roll the pallet up the ramp onto the loading dock. Melanie follows me a bit, but hangs back to talk to Mr. Brim while I push the water into the warehouse, unload the pallet jack, and then return to my basic state. There's a detective at the front of the store who's in for a bad time if I don't get him away from Karen. That woman is relentless. I keep trying to work out what a detective would want with me. Sure, I have a PI license, but it's just one of the many things I got cleared to use my powers for and never followed up on. I helped a few different federal and state entities determine how to license a Child of Loki for a bunch of different things. I still have to take the test to get the license myself, of course. My collection of licenses is pretty extensive, come to think of it. I can work heavy construction if I want, or deep-sea salvage, among other things. On my way to the front of the store, I nod and smile to a few regular customers and wave to coworkers, carefully noting which ones know of my powers and which don't. Most do not, and I'd like to keep it that way. As I said, Mr. Brim has only been a bit awkward since he found out, but I've seen other people react far worse. I spot a tall Asian American man with short brown hair that's been slicked and styled like an old-timey greaser standing by the customer service desk. He's in his 30s, about my age, and is wearing a long trench coat over a rumpled dark brown suit with a popped shirt collar. He's giving Karen a grin as she speaks. He's very handsome, so I don't even need to read Karen's lips to know what she's saying. The same line she uses on any hot guy who walks into the store. The man notices me as I approach, completely ignoring Karen after that. She's irritated, sees me, and then shrugs it off before going back to work at her desk. I really do not want Karen to learn I'm a CoL. Don't think I can handle that at all. Page Simmons, the man says loudly. That would be me, I reply. Sweet, look, listen, he begins. I cut him off. Can we go outside to talk? If this guy does wind up being some sort of a problem, I can always pick him up and hold him in the air outside while I wait for the police to arrive. Sure, everyone in town would learn I'm a CoL, but at least he wouldn't cause any problems for the customers. Then I just have to worry about Karen hitting on me at work from then on out. I shudder a bit at the thought. It's not that she's a bad person, it's just that she is a lot sometimes, and I am far too asexual for her. He glances around for a moment, pauses, tilts his head, and then nods. Okay, cool. Outside it is. Thank you. I lead the detective to the picnic tables under a tree in the parking lot. It's an old oak tree that's been there much longer than the store has. If I have to do anything drastic, I will do my best not to damage the tree. A friend of mine would kick my ass if I hurt it. What's going on? I ask. Why is a detective asking for me? I need an expert, he replies quickly. Then he makes a face like he's chewing on a dictionary to find his words. Okay, look, so my name's Detective Windgate, and I took a case about a missing dog, right? I nod. Okay. Except when I get there, it's not just a missing dog. That was just a pretense to get a detective to show up. He continues. This rich family's dog was stolen, but at the same time their son became a CoL. So what? I reply with a shrug. And why are you asking me about this anyway? Because Dr. Hyler wasn't available. She referred you to me then? I ask. She did, Wingate replies flatly. I don't get why, I say. People gain CoL powers all over the world every day. It's not a lot, but anyone who hits 19 or so can become a CoL. They don't even have to have just hit 19 either. Somebody my age could become a CoL tomorrow. It's just more common for 19-year-olds now. The kid's 10 years old, Detective Wingate says. He must see me raise my eyebrows because his expression changes to one of excitement. He smiles. Now he knows he's gotten my attention. Here's the illustration. That's not possible, I say. I shake my head. I mean, there's still a lot we don't know about Children of Loki, but there's never been a case of an Ember younger than 19. I realize I'm cupping my cheek with my palm. And as I mull this information over and drop my hand. It doesn't add up. I've helped Dr. Hylo study Children of Loki since shortly after the first of us gained our powers. A lot of the technology on the market catering towards CoLs is thanks to her lab's research. She has literally written the book on us. Well, several, in fact. Can I get your help as a consultant? Detective Wingate asks with an eager grin. What do you mean as a consultant? Like right here, answer questions? I need more information than some hypothetical 10-year-old CoL. I mean, will you come to Austin and help me figure this out? Austin. Not the biggest city in the state, but still, the city. Not far from my sister and mom, so that's also a plus. Much larger CoL population than here in the country. How the fuck could a 10-year-old gain CoL powers? When would you need me to be in Austin? I ask. The sooner the better, he says. And I can pay you. It's Friday. I could be moved by Monday if I found the right place. The hardest bit would be hiring a mover, and I don't actually have that many belongings. I could make the trip without a mover, but I'd rather not carry that many boxes myself. Okay, I say, I'll bite. How's Monday sound? Thank you so much, Paige. You will not regret this, Windgate says with a smile. You're saving my ass here. We exchange numbers, and he gives me an old-fashioned paper business card that reads Detective Eugene Windgate Investigations. There's a phone number, email address, and office address printed on it below his name. When he turns to leave, I head back inside to break the news to Mr. Brim that something very important has come up. I'm about to quit and pull up stakes. I offer to stay and help the night shift with stocking, which softens the blow. I can even come in tomorrow if he needs me to. Surprisingly, he's not upset. But then again, maybe he's been terrified of me the entire time he's known I'm a CoL. Melanie, on the other hand, is ecstatic and congratulates me on the big move. Chapter 2. The people who gained powers go by many names. Children of Loki, or CoL, pronounced the same as Cole, is by far the most popular in the United States. People here are familiar with the stories of Loki, the shape-shifting trickster god of the Vikings and neo-pagans, due to the required world mythology and religions classes in our schools. Some, however, choose to be known as Children of our Lord, as they feel being connected to a pagan god to be against their religion. There are even those who prefer to use the secular term mimic. Generally, Children of Loki, or CoL, has been adopted by official and unofficial agencies within the United States. It's interesting to note that the word CoL has, until now, only meant the lowest point between two mountain peaks. There have not been many CoLs who have chosen to connect their identities with such a gap. Excerpt from the Book of CoL, 2nd edition, Chapter 1, Names and Identity. The night shift winds up being more of an impromptu party than actual work. Melanie agrees to stay late for a couple hours to make sure the news that I'm a CoL doesn't cause much of a stir. She can be a bit protective of me, since she was the first person to learn I had powers. Even before me. Thankfully, she hasn't shared that story with her coworkers. I pray she doesn't open her mouth about it. It was embarrassing as hell. I can't believe we've had a superhero working at Mythic Grocery this whole time, Becky says while holding a paper plate full of cake. I don't know who brought the cake. They must have gotten it from the bakery earlier in the day because it had Best of Luck Page written in icing on it before we hacked it to pieces. Maybe it was Mr. Brim. I wouldn't use superhero, I say between bites. Mostly I just lift heavy things when the forklift breaks. That's why day shift has been able to get so much shit done? Terrence asks accusingly. He's not actually upset, more surprised and still processing. How did it happen anyway? Becky asks. I mean, I know becoming a CoL is random, but you've worked here a while. When did you get powers? Everyone stops eating and stares at me. 6.5 pairs of eyes watch my every move. George is missing an eye. I'm not sure how they lost it, and I haven't asked, but they have seemed a bit more wary to join the festivities since the news broke that I've been a CoL and that I'm quitting work to move away without prior notice. I can't help but worry it's connected to the day when we first CoLs gained our powers. That day was pretty rough, most places. I finish my bite of cake and chase it with a swallow of fruit punch before answering. First day. First day you started working here? Becky asks. Bless her, she's not very bright. No, I've been a CoL since the first day the powers manifested, I clarify. I really don't want to talk about it. I catch a glimpse of Melanie out of the corner of my eye. Careful I don't do anything weird to see her better, like manifest an extra eye. Now that everyone knows I'm a CoL, I have to be even more careful than usual not to slip up and shift in a way that could unsettle them. Up until now, I pretended to be normal, around people who didn't know how to trick myself to stay in line. Mel's not going to tell the story of when I gained my powers, thank gods. You want to see Paige lift some heavy shit? Melanie asks instead. Hell yes, Terrence replies. Melanie doesn't stay the whole shift, but I'm thankful she's here for a while at least. The rest of the time is spent with me lifting and moving pallets of things, so we can stock the store. A repair person is supposed to show up tomorrow to fix the forklift. I debate telling everyone to just call if they need me. Mr. Brim knows he can call, but I doubt he will. I'm going to be over 100 miles away by Monday, starting a new job in a new place. Or at least helping out with a job for a detective. If it falls through, I'll just look for something else to do in the city. Austin is a big place. There's a bustling CoL community there, and some businesses that cater directly to them. Us. To us. I don't sleep after leaving the store. Instead, I head home, take a shower, and look up new places to live. There are 2 apartment complexes that are strictly for Children of Loki in the Austin area. Both have a market, restaurants, and coffee shops and the like built on the bottom floor. There's also a subdivision south of town that's CoL exclusive as well. But as I sit at my laptop in the empty house, I'm reminded that I don't exactly like being this lonely. Maybe an apartment would be a nice change. Little Asgard Heights has 3 openings according to the website, while Valhalla Estates has 4. Valhalla Estates is really in Leander, much further north than I'd like to be. Little Asgard Heights is in East Austin, near a place called Boggy Creek just off of Airport Boulevard, in an area populated by other large apartment complexes. Valhalla Estates would require me to travel a lot farther to do anything in Austin proper, while Little Asgard Heights is in a more busy area. Then again, travel isn't much of a problem for me. I don't have a car, but that's because I don't need one. However, busy would be nice. Part of the point of getting an apartment is to not feel lonely, after all. I can't decide. I get a quarter out and toss it. Heads for Heights, tails for Estates. It lands on Heights. I jot down the phone number on the website. I'm starting to feel a bit tired, so I use my powers to clear out my exhaustion. I try not to do that very often, but it has come in handy more than a few times. Hello, I was calling about looking for an apartment at Little Asgard Heights, I say to the agent, who answers, Yes, I'm a CoL. Do you get many basics who call? Wow, that many, damn. I text the agent my information, and within an hour of calling have an apartment. Then I call a mover to transport all my things. The rent on my current house is paid through the end of the lease, which isn't up for a couple weeks. I go ahead and call the landlord to tell her I'll be moving soon. I promise to come back and go over everything with her before the lease is over. We set a date for a week and a half from now, and she thanks me for having been a tenant. I have about 4 hours before the movers are set to arrive, so I finish packing up my belongings that aren't already in boxes and put the clothing I've been wearing in a duffel bag. I pull out a prototype premium shift-ready... I pull a few of my prototype premium shift-ready clothing pieces out of a box and add them to the duffel before resealing the box. All told, I don't have a lot of belongings, and the fact that I haven't been using most of them for the last month only nails home that I don't use most of what I do have. I move all 12 boxes closer to the door to make them easier for the movers to pick up. My laptop gets stowed in its bag next to my duffel. I'll hitch a ride with the movers to the city. It'll be a bit of a journey that I could make much more quickly on my own using my powers, but I don't mind riding in a truck. There's something somewhat relaxing about watching trees and hills go by from a car window. All the furniture came with the house, so it's still in place. Even Melanie and young me's stuff is in the room they used, just where they left it. I set an alarm on my phone and lay on my bed that's already been stripped of the sheets. It's not going to be my bed anymore after today. I'm moving. I'm going to the city to help a detective out with a CoL-related mystery. I honestly don't think it's possible for a 10-year-old to develop CoL powers. If it has happened, it would be the first recorded case of it. None of Dr. Hyler's research suggests anyone younger than 19 could have powers. There's a lot of things we still don't understand about CoLs, even with 10 years of research unto us, but that's one thing that's held pretty true. My mind races, and I just cannot relax. It's not because I blanked out my fatigue earlier, either. I just can't settle down. I look at my phone and see I now only have an hour and a half before the alarm goes off. I shut my eyes and use my powers to sedate myself. It won't be a great sleep, but it should help me clear my head. The move goes well. I offer to help the two-man team change the tire when we have a flat halfway to the city, but they tell me to stay in the truck's cab. I chat with Melanie on the phone when she calls. "I can't believe it, you're finally moving," she says. I mean, I can believe it. I was there when you quit work and stuff, but still. I didn't think you'd move to Austin. I figured you'd just rent a smaller place here in town. "Sorry about that," I say. "I can always move back if things don't work out and all." "That is true," Melanie says. "Just give me the heads up if you do, and please don't forget to visit. You can't use the excuse of it being too far away, like someone like me can." I don't know why that comment stings. "I will be sure to let you know when I'll be in town. I'll bother you incessantly. Besides, I still have the walkthrough with our old landlord in a week and a half." "I look forward to you regaling us with your stories of the life in the big city then," Melanie cheers. "Oh, shit, I gotta go. Love you lots." "Tell young me I send hugs and kisses too," I say. "Absolutely." I check my phone for any news or info about a 10-year-old gaining CoL powers. There is none. I wonder if the man I met is even a real detective or not. I look at his business card and find his website. He's a former cop with ringing endorsements on his site from people who've hired him. But then, who doesn't put the praise they've gotten for their business on their website? It's not like he's going to put any bad comments on there. At least he seems to be a real detective. I really should have looked him up before I decided to move. Here's an illustration. Little Asgard Heights is a big change from my old house. It's also a gigantic building. The movers seem a little wary of the place, but I don't have that many boxes and tell them they can stay outside if they want while I go talk to the building manager to get my card key. When I come back to the truck, the two guys seem to be even less keen on making me do all the work, despite them having just driven me and my belongings 100 miles. I suppose they don't want to come off as lazy or some sort of taxi service, not that there's anything wrong with a taxi service. A few of the residents, CoLs, who are far more conspicuous than me, watch as I and the two movers make a few trips back and forth to my new place. I spot at least one minotaur and two different people with some kind of horns and pointy ears. There's also one person with a classic adventure or elf look going on. I'm not sure if it's just not a busy time or if most people are avoiding us, but I can tell the ones who are watching have made the movers a bit nervous. Especially the dragon person wearing the blue hoodie who was ducked into the building a minute ago. My apartment is on the second floor, which I don't particularly like, but there are no living units on the bottom floor of the building. We get the last of my boxes unloaded, and I give the movers a pretty substantial cash tip with my thanks. They're surprised. I basically just moved into the equivalent of public housing for freaks, even though I'm not using a government program for my unit. Maybe I shouldn't flaunt that I have money. It might give people the wrong idea and reinforce the thought that CoLs leech off the government. It's an age-old bullshit argument left over from before Children of Loki even existed. That minority is nothing but a mooch, a leech, a burden. They're getting what you deserve. The movers look at me funny, as if those very thoughts may be running through their heads at the moment. I can't read minds. No CoL can. But I do know how people work. I'm a detective, I say confidently after they take the cash. It doesn't feel wrong to say, but I'm used to outrageous things feeling right. So I add, there's more mysteries to solve in the city. That seems to do it. Now I've gone from possibly being a scary outsider burden to tangentially related to law enforcement. It's not something I'd like to do often, but in this case, maybe I've done something to prevent these two guys from being weird about CoLs in the future. They thank me and wave as they leave. The sunset paints the city in warm pinks and oranges. Everything smells different. There are more CoLs in a 4-block radius than I've ever seen before, even more than at Dr. Hylu's laboratory during the peak of the last rounds of study. I try not to feel overwhelmed as I breathe a deep breath and let it out smoothly. My sister and our mom live in a nearby town. I'll have to remember to give them a call after I've helped out on this job. I finally moved. And thus ends Chapter 2. If you've enjoyed listening to Chapters 1 and 2 of Book of CoL, The Ember Child, please like and subscribe here on YouTube, and don't forget to check out the series on Tapas, where it is free to read and includes artwork in every chapter. Thank you for tuning in.